Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the state of the mobile payment app industry. We're going to be talking about how mobile payment apps engage and retain users. We're seeing the economy going increasingly cashless and even cardless. And we're here to talk about how mobile is helping consumers with the shift. Research in consumer psychology shows that convenience has a major impact on buying decisions. I'm sure most of you might remember this even led to Amazon patenting one-click buying in '99. By doing this, they ensured that no other online business could offer the same convenience of one-click purchasing, giving them a sustainable competitive advantage for many years. Now, when we talk about payments, the race is on between multiple players to offer more convenience to users and using it as a competitive advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raghav, and I'm your host for today. I have over 7 years' experience in technology marketing, and I look at industry and solution marketing here at CleverTap. I love everything that's at the intersection of data, AI, and humanities, and try to find interesting new ways to club data with our day-to-day activities. So, in case you're wondering what we do here at CleverTap, we try and make the lives of thousands of marketers and product managers across the world easier. And how do we do that? We optimize customer experiences at scale and manage the end-to-end user lifecycle with the help of unified customer data platform. Now, this not only unifies data and acts as a single source of truth, but also provides actionable insights, segmentation capabilities, and all of which can be leveraged to orchestrate marketing campaigns at scale across channels. And it doesn't matter if it's a segment of 100 or millions. CleverTap can handle volumes of data within milliseconds. And here's a testament to the kind of scale that CleverTap can help consumer brands achieve. Our ability to process billions of events in milliseconds allows you to respond to changes in customer behavior immediately, no matter how large your user base. All right, so without any further ado, let's take a look at today's agenda. We're going to be taking a look at the rise of disruption in payment technologies and the factors that have fueled the growth of mobile payment apps. We'll also take a good look at the mobile payment app ecosystem and why everyone's talking about it, and some of the challenges that lie ahead. Then we'll also go over some of the patterns that define the average mobile payment app user's lifecycle and how you can use that to build an engaging app strategy that not only helps you engage, but retain users for life. Okay, so let's start with the disruption in the payments industry that is fueled by mobile payments. We're seeing an increasing number of fintech and mobile payment startups that are starting to win market share from banks and scaling at an incredible pace. Now, the reason for this exists on both sides of the table. So on the consumer side, you have users who expect instant gratification and have impatience that runs on steroids. Now, this makes them want to be able to make payments and reap rewards instantly. So with changing consumer behaviors, we see new methods of mobile payments emerging, such as P2P payment apps like Google Pay, Venmo, and so much more. Then on the other side of the table, we have merchants who want to explore better ways to accept and streamline payments. And their expectations range from omnichannel payment service providers, digital checkout, app-to-app payment acceptance, social commerce, and much more. Now, what's happening with this is that there's rapid consolidation and globalization, with recent examples including PayPal, which is entering newer geographies like India, and airlines like Air Canada partnering with services like Alipay and WeChat in China. And the effects of this are far-reaching, with the lines merging between tech, fintech, finance, and banking. So then you have Chase, companies like behemoths like Chase acquiring WePay, building on their fintech or mobile payment portfolio. And you also have tech companies like Apple partnering with Goldman Sachs to build credibility in mobile payments. Now, with all of this disruption and all the shakeups in the industry, I think it's safe to say that the global market for payment apps is showing incredible growth. If you look at this example or this infographic from MEF, it's just indicative of how many different payment apps are emerging and covering various use cases. So you've got in-store payments, you've got online payments, you've got mobile point of sale solutions, you've got P2P payments, mobile wallets, and so much more. And with the new mobile payment apps emerging every day, this is a graphic from 2018. I'm pretty sure it's already obsolete. But that doesn't mean that mobile payment apps don't come with their own set of challenges. Only a handful of these apps actually manage to see any sort of sustained growth. And 77% users churn in the first 2 weeks. That's 23% of the original number of users that you've onboarded. Only 23% of those actually manage to use your app on a long-term basis. And over 35% of these users choose to uninstall these apps within a month. And the problem, more often than not, is the fact that most apps fail to realize the opportunity within each micro moment. Now let's talk a little bit about these micro moments and what these actually are. Micro moments are intent-rich moments where decisions are made and preferences are shaped. This is when people turn to their smartphones to act on a need to learn something, do something, discover something, or to buy something. Now, in the case of mobile payment apps, it could be as simple as a customer looking for payment options for a specific merchant, or it could be looking for offers and inspiration. This could even be a customer researching different payment apps to see which one has all the merchants or utility vendors they normally transact with. Or they might just be looking for cashback offers for every payment that they make through an app. Now, this is what sort of turns these users into evangelists of your product, and which results in referrals and them sharing reviews on app stores and so on. Now let's translate that into a mobile payment app user's life cycle. Now we can divide this into multiple stages, but we've sort of made it a little easier and broken it down into 4 stages. The first one being onboarding, where the focus is on onboarding them and wowing them with an excellent first-time user experience. The second stage is engagement, where you need to monetize your app users and keep them coming back and transacting. Now, the third stage is retention, where you look towards turning these users into loyalists or even your brand advocates. And finally, reinstall, where you try and win back your lost customers or try and avoid uninstalls in the first place. On that note, let's see the state of user onboarding in the current mobile payment app ecosystem. It is said that a great onboarding experience can improve user adoption by 7 times, which is why it's as important to make the first time experience as memorable as possible and deliver that aha moment almost instantly. Now, if we look at the benchmarks, with payment apps, it takes a new user about 1 hour to register after installation. So that means there's a lot that you can do to shorten that path to register. And that's only 45% of the total number of users who install the app. So the window between installation and registration could be anywhere from being immediate to a week-long wait. So it's a good idea to push them further down the funnel, and by greeting them with a welcome message that sort of focuses on your benefits or offers or the different merchants that you might have on your app. A brief product or app tour, which covers some of the most popular features, merchants, and type of vendors on the app, can often be that tipping point which gets a user to finally register on the app. But we've just covered onboarding, but with successful onboarding, the battle is far from over. The stage that lies between onboarding and engagement is tricky and can often be the differentiator that turns a casual user into a loyalist or an advocate. So if you look at the benchmarks here, it takes an average of 12 days to get an onboarded user and turn him into an engaged user. And that's only 35% of the total new users who actually transact or add money to their mobile wallet within the first month. Now, there are a couple of things that you can do to help turn these new visitors into engaged users. For starters, you can incentivize addition of money to the mobile wallets through relevant offers, cashbacks, or something that gives them more value or bang for their buck. Opt-ins are really important. So it's always important to get their buy-in from the first launch itself so that you can send them push notifications. You're probably wondering why it's important. Well, for starters, this improves reachability for your campaigns. And more importantly, you can send them timely and relevant communication to get them to transact in the moment. And it's all about instant gratification, right? So it supports that in the moment transactions with these users. Reminders and special offers on utility payments that are due go a long way in ensuring repeat transaction. Something that's worth noting here is that it's a great idea to ask the user to share details of their billing providers as well as their billing cycles so you can keep them up to date, debt free, and get that valuable repeat launch and transaction. Now, once you've got these users engaged and managed to make them complete their first transaction, you want to try and get a larger share of their wallet. And before you do that, you want to look at how most of these apps do on that front. Now, user engagement is something which is like a team sport. You want to reach users on different channels and devices and keep them hooked. And each channel has a different role to play. The engagement which we've measured in terms of click-through rates varies for different channels. While it's about 2% for push notifications, it's as high as 8% for in-app notifications. Now, the reason why this is 4x is because users who already launched the app are further into the usage funnel and will have a higher probability of converting, which makes them more open to marketing communication. That being said, what's interesting is that emails with mobile payment offers see double the CTRs as compared to even your in-app notifications, and 8x if you look at the push notifications. And this is partly because of the fact that most apps choose emails to send more important information to users, such as account statements, changes to the usage plans, and so on. It's also an essential channel when it comes to reactivating your dormant users. A great tip here is to use intelligent tools that tell you the best time to send campaigns to different users. These take into account the usage patterns and automate the send times accordingly. So now once you've got your engagement handled, you want to start focusing on retaining users. Now there's like this fine line which is between engagement and retention. So it's important to identify early indicators of churn so you can take the appropriate measures and retain these users. Now let's see how some of these apps do in that department. Now for browser-based apps, partner sites, and native apps, growth can't solely rely on acquiring new users. Retention rates are vital to the health of any growing app, and they should be monitored from day one. Drop-offs while adding money to the digital wallet or cart abandonment can be early indicators of user churn. So it's important to engage with these users with timely, personalized messages that prompt them to relaunch the app. These could include examples like bill payment reminders, as I mentioned earlier, which are close to the payment due date, as well as cashback offers on transactions with their preferred merchants. Now, if we look at the benchmarks, we see that the day 7 retention rates are 25% for new users. Now, this means that for every 4 users you acquire, only one of these 4 users is retained by the end of the week, which is why the first 7 days are crucial in building a valuable experience for users. For existing users or users who continue to stay with the app and transacting for more than 2 months, the day 7 retention rates are much higher at 43%. These are people who are already further down the funnel and you need to put in lesser effort to sort of retain them. Now here's a closer look at these benchmarks that I was talking about. So if you look at week-on-week retention rates for new users versus the existing users, with existing users, one of the reasons you see an upward trend in week 4 is that these are regular users who probably transact to pay their bills and so on. So it's usually a monthly cycle, which is why you see higher numbers in week 4 as compared to week 1 or even week 2. This is how providing the users the option of settling their bill payments or setting up their bill payment reminders can contribute to repeat app launches and transactions. So now I've talked about engagement to retention. If we talk about retention as a focal point, it's the foundation for sustainable app growth. It's defined as the percentage of users who stay with the app and transact over a specific period of time after installation. This is typically measured on D1, D3, D7, D30, D60, and D90. Now, for those of you who would like to understand that more, D1 is a day is the metric of them coming back to your app 1 day after they've installed the app. D3, D7 are 3 days after installation, 7 days after installation, 30 days after installation, and so on. Now, you can prioritize retention rate as the key metric, which can help you build your user base and fuel continuous business growth. We all know that acquiring users costs 5 times more than retaining users, which is why focusing on this stage makes your marketing efforts more cost effective and helps you optimize ROI. Now, the metric that we focus on over here is stickiness, which measures how much users are engaging with a product or a feature. The higher your app's stickiness quotient, the more frequently your monthly active users are returning to your app. It's a ratio of your daily active users and your monthly active users. Now, in order to improve this metric, it's important to motivate users to make repeat transactions through either cashback offers or a percentage of the transaction amount or other promotional tactics. Now, one of the things that really works well here is looking at user retention cohorts, which help you keep track retention for different user segments, like whether they're new users, whether they're users who were acquired through paid channels, or they could be users who've been on the app for a while. And this helps you sort of differentiate between what their stickiness ratios are. Now, multi-touch engagement strategy that reaches out to customers across channels can help you with personalized and timely promotions. A great tool over here is CleverTap's Journeys, which is an omni-channel campaign builder that helps you target the most optimal channels of engagement for personalized promotions. And you can use this to sell them information about their bills. You can tell them about different ways in which, or send them cashback offers. Now, the goal here is to improve conversions as well as your retention rates and bringing up the stickiness ratio. So let's talk about churn. So churn is when a user stops seeing value in your app and stops using it within a given period. Now, data suggests that a drop in activity such as transactions or addition of money to the digital wallet can be an early sign of churn. And this is something that we've been talking about in the past as well. Now, this often leads to an uninstall, which is why it's very important to sort of focus on users who have shown some of these early indicators. The reasons for uninstall can vary from from UI issues to your functionality, performance, or user experience. Now, an important thing to do here is to monitor some of these uninstall rates and seek feedback from uninstalled users. You can use this through channels like SMS or email, since they don't have the app for you to send them push notifications. Now, this is a great way to sort of get valuable insights into your user experience and what you can do to prevent future uninstalls, and sometimes even convinces some of your churned users to come back to the app and try it out again. Now, to win back uninstalled users, you can send promotional emails and launch remarketing campaigns to drive app reinstalls. You can track campaign ROI by measuring the reinstall rates through UTM campaigns and other tracking metrics. Now, even the most successful apps see some churn. So by monitoring uninstall rates, you have a better understanding of your user experience and what leads to uninstalls. Now, for mobile payment apps, almost 35% of users uninstall the app within the first 30 days. And only 4 out of 100 users who uninstalled the app return within the first month to give it another shot. If you can identify these users, you can run highly targeted campaigns to ensure that they see value in sticking around. An important thing to remember here is that you need to avoid spamming users who do not wish to be contacted. So a sunset policy, or a policy which tells you when to back off if a user who's uninstalled your app is clearly not coming back, can be a great idea. Now that brings us to the end of the app user lifecycle and the different metrics that we've looked at after analyzing over 583 million users and over 700 million, over 5 billion messages on about 700 devices. Now let's look at a success story in this space where a mobile payment app managed to see favorable results by implementing some of the tactics that we just went over. Let's look at MobiKwik, which is one of India's largest and fastest growing mobile payment networks. It connects over 65 million users with over 2.5 million retailers. And they have over 25 payments being processed every second and 100 plus users signing up every minute. Now with MobiKwik, users can purchase from some of the biggest online retail stores without having to disclose their credit card details and can instantly transfer money to their friends. So what MobiKwik was looking for was a mobile analytics tool. And because they did not have a mobile analytics tool, their marketing team didn't have a clear picture of what their users were doing on the app or how they could better engage them. They were constantly checking in with their data team, who had to manually cull massive amounts of data for them. They were also having issues with high delivery failure rates, which meant missing out on valuable opportunities to prompt users to transact within the app. They were spending a lot of money on advertising to acquire new users, but without a mobile marketing platform to kind of help them track and engage their user base, they were having trouble keeping or retaining those hard-earned customers on the app. Now, here's what they did. So the first thing that they did was looking at personalized and triggered messaging, where they knew that getting users back to the app would require habit formation. So they began segmenting users based on due dates for utility bills, and through the triggered reminders, they helped them pay on time via the app. So this also helped them double user engagement within the app. With retention cohorts, their marketing team could easily spot their app's friction points and create targeted campaigns to boost retention. Now, the other thing that they also focused on was the first stage of the life cycle that we spoke about, which was onboarding, where they automated welcome campaigns to educate new users about key features, helping them quickly get registered to the app and start using it. And finally, the last stage that we spoke about, where they used reactivation campaigns using real-time uninstall data. So they could schedule SMS and email campaigns for users who uninstalled the app and try to understand why or ways to sort of entice them or to come back onto the app. With this approach, they managed to win back almost 23 to 25% of their uninstalled user base. Now, with reduced uninstall rates, they looked at timely conversion-specific campaigns and managed to reduce uninstall rates by 20%. Like I just mentioned, they also managed to win 23 to 25% of their uninstalled users with reactivation campaigns. The other thing that they also did was they managed to segment their users to send highly personalized marketing campaigns and increased user engagement by 2x. Now, all of this was triggered based on user behavior. Now, this brings us to the end of our presentation. And we're now open to answer any questions that you might have. So just feel free to go ahead and ask. Yes, we're just waiting for a few questions. All right, so Rena asks, what are the best tools or ways to activate inactive users of a mobile payment app? Now, like I spoke about, there are different tools or ways in which you can activate inactive users of a mobile payment app. you can use, first of all, you can use a multi-touch approach using a omnichannel campaign builder or journeys. And if you want to look at customers on different stages of the life cycle, you could use something like RFM, or recency, frequency, and monetary value based segmentation, where you can look at users at different stages of their life cycle. So if you have champion users, you can identify your champion users. You can identify some of your new users who need to be nudged with your campaigns, or you can even identify some of your at-risk users. Now, with at-risk users, you can sort of start sending them campaigns through push or channels like email, and try to get them back onto the app. Okay, so Samuel asks, what channels work best for engaging users? Now, as I mentioned, there's no fixed channel that works best for engaging users. When we were looking at the engagement metrics, we noticed that traditional marketing wisdom says that for mobile apps, push notifications work best, but it's generally a team effort. So you need to look at the ideal channel depending on what the use cases are. So if it's to win back your uninstalled users, obviously something like a push notification would not work. You would probably want to reach out to them on email or SMS. In case you're looking for something which is a little more timely or in the moment, you want to look at, so in case you're talking about flash sales, you probably want to send a push notification. If you want to highlight new merchants onto the app, you might want to send them in-app notifications. Another great channel that works really well for certain users is retargeting them through Google AdWords or Facebook retargeting. Something that we've seen working really well is a notification or an app inbox, where even if a user has disabled push notifications, they still get notifications through a bell icon or something like that, where they can look at all the notifications that they've received in the past. And so that just sort of gives them a history of things, notifications that they might have missed out on. So we have a user who's asking where we can find the links to the reports. So we're going to be sharing the links to the reports in the additional resources slide. After this webinar, you're going to be getting a recording of this webinar along with the slide deck, which will have the links to all these resources. So rich media push notifications for e-wallet clients. Valerie's asked this question. So we've not really tested for rich media push notifications per se, but we've seen them working really well for certain industry segments, for example, OTT and media apps. In terms of, we've also seen that emojis generally show a much higher click-through rate. Use of imagery has, if you're looking at iOS, we've seen higher CTRs in iOS for rich media push notifications as compared to iOS, as compared to Android. Now we have one last question here. Okay, so we have one question about results from sending confirmation push notifications after each transaction. We can send that data individually because most of this data is collated and it's anonymized. So it's going to be difficult to get results for sending confirmation push notifications after each transaction. But usually we've seen good success if it includes something like an order confirmation or a status update or something like that. So one more question. If I'm considering mobile payment for my business, what are the key considerations needed to integrate it with your existing platform? So CleverTap is a platform agnostic tool. It can integrate with any sort of interface. It integrates with web, it integrates with mobile apps, as well as, and since it has something which is called it works as a customer data platform. It can integrate with your offline as well as your online channels to unify all that data and make sense of it all, and also run engagement campaigns. And yes, we do have examples of B2B customers in payment industry. Most of them are payment gateways or and not necessarily mobile payment apps. All right. So with that, I believe we've covered most of the questions. In case you have any more questions, here's a link to our email address, webinars@clevertap.com. And feel free to shoot your questions and we'll try and respond within 24 hours. You'll also be getting a copy of this webinar deck as well as a recording. So in case you've missed out on any details, you could watch it on demand. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good day, evening, or good night, depending on which part of the world you're joining us from. Thank you so much.